Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews video. Today we are having a look at the General's Handbook, Pitch Battles 2022 to 2023 Season 1. The ever so catchy name for the new General's Handbook. So first of all I want to say a massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us this for free a little bit early to review and share with you guys. So it was announced not so long ago that Age of Sigmar was moving to a 6-monthly season format similar to how it works currently in Warhammer 40,000, and with that we would get 2 General's Handbooks a year. That would, obviously change up the way the game kind of plays. So obviously we've had the current season where monsters are very dominant with lots of things that kind of key in it, and one of the things this book does is kind of changes all that and refocuses on what units are kind of competitive from a tournament point of view, I guess. And there's loads of new mechanics in here that we'll look into in a little bit. One of the things that Games Workshop did announce though was that from this season all the points for Age of Sigmar will be free on Warhammer Community. So that is a big change. Previously in the past, even if you were playing narrative games, for example, you would still need to pick up the General's Handbook to get the updated points, so they will be free to everyone now, which is a brilliant change. It's a really good thing that Games Workshop had done. Now, I was assuming that this book wouldn't come with any points, however, it does actually come with the pitch battle profiles as well. So again, I think this will probably be on Warhammer Community the day this book is out, which is the 25th, but don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure when the points are getting released. I just assume that they'll be available the same day the book can be bought. But yeah, I only received this today, so I've had a full deep dive. Looking through, I can see that most of the, well, all of the armies that I've got 3rd edition books, I don't think there's any points changes for at all. I've noticed a couple of points adjustments for the Cities of Sigmar. Certainly Beasts of Chaos, Slaanesh and Khorne also get a couple of points drops as well. Nothing massive for Slaanesh. We've got like drops of 10 to 15 points on quite a lot of the mortal units. My Head Knights of Slaanesh army, I think, gets about an additional 70 points that I can't do a lot with really, apart from buying an endless spell. But there's certainly changes. Off the top of my head, I want to say Ogres get a couple of changes as well. Obviously when this book's out, the points will be free online anyway, so what I might do is follow up with another article on the website where we just dig into kind of anything that has changes. But there's nothing like world changing here in the points changes, so don't worry about that. I do wonder if they'll use the kind of like mid-season books for kind of big points adjustments. And obviously we've got a lot of Sigmar books coming out this year as well, and I suspect a lot of this stuff will change in that. So that's a quick flick through the pitch battle profiles, but we'll have a proper deep dive into the General's Handbook itself. So it comes with a card sheet like the other one with all the battle tactics, and we'll look at those properly in a little bit, but I find these super handy for taking to events and being able to just flick through them and see your battle tactics. Obviously your battle tactics for the previous season are going to be no longer in play for tournaments that use this mission pack, so just make sure not to mix them up, because that could be something that goes against you in an event. Again, we've got the same core hardback fold out format where you can put this flat and have your various things in various formats, however you want to do it. That's one of my favourite things about this book, the original one, and I really would like to see this in 40k as well. You also get a really nice rules reference sheet on the back of it as well, which is something that is super handy during the game. So yeah, big props for that. But let's have a look at here in some detail. Now we're surprised that we actually get quite a bit of new lore in this. I know it's a kind of a Grand Tournament battle pack, but we do get a little bit of information on where the storyline's going next in Age of Sigmar. And to me, that's super exciting. I'm more of a kind of narrative Path to Glory player. I play in events, but really it's the lore and story of Sigmar that kind of captures me. And yeah, we're moving to Gallet, or Gallet, I don't know what the pronunciation is, in Ger. And this is another area of Ger, kind of south of Thondia. And we learn that it is very spider infested. So I do wonder if we're going to see a new Gloomspite Gits book in the summer, maybe with some new spidery models, some the Scuttlers, I think they were called, from Silver Tower would be a really cool unit they could add for some really thematic spider armies. We also learn a bit about the next incarnate as well. It speaks of Arachnaroks eating Realmstone, and then when their eggs hatch, the various little kind of swarms of horrific insects kind of coalesce into an incarnate. So that sounds pretty cool. I can see where the first incarnate was like a giant animated like bone dragon thing. I assume this will be a big cloud of like spiders and insects that are, it says that they've got like chitinous wings because they're infused with all the Realmstone and stuff. So that sounds really cool. So yeah, looking forward to seeing where we go from a story point of view here. It also talks that a lot of this happens underground as well, and that's reflected in some of the missions and in some of the abilities that we see in this book. So moving on, no changes in how you construct your army for this battle pack. Now that is something they could change, and there's not something they've done yet, but it would be an interesting thing where they could like limit the number of units compared to what's in the core book, and it's nothing they've really kind of like interacted before in a battle pack, so it's a shame they haven't adjusted anything there. What they have changed though is really kind of the way your basic kind of troops work in games of Age of Sigmar. So any friendly battle line unit that have a wounds characteristic of 4 or less and do not have mounts get the Galician Veteran keyword. Now this keyword interacts with an awful lot of stuff within the book that we'll see in a bit. At the start of each battle round, after the players have determined who will take the first turn, the person who goes second picks one objective on the battlefield to be a proving ground. Now the proving ground can only be captured by units with that Galician Veteran keyword. So that is that's massive. You could say you're playing, I don't know, a particular army that hasn't got much battle line or not particularly mobile battle line. You could basically make sure that only you can score in that turn. Equally, there's a lot of stuff that can kill battle line as well, so I think this is going to be quite interesting in the kind of back and forth between the armies and how you even build armies. And I think it will take a couple of events for people to work out what the kind of go-to stuff's going to be. So the other new thing that we get here as well is that Galician veterans count as being in range of the target if they're within half an inch of a friendly unit that's within half an inch of the enemy model. That's a really long-winded way of saying that basically you can fight in 2 ranks now regardless of range. So if you've got stuff on 32mm bases that maybe only had a 1-inch reach before, in the previous battle pack only the front rank could be able to fight. In this one, the second rank, because they're within half an inch of a model that's within half an inch, they can all fight as well. So really that makes your kind of like swords and stuff really quite powerful compared to spears, because generally speaking they had better stats, but you were giving up that advantage in order to get extra hits in, when now your second rank with superior weapons can hit as well. So again, that may change how people load out some of their units as well. Like with last year, we also get a unique spell for this season, and that is the Gaze of Ger. This is used on a unit, and basically it counts them being half the number of models rounding down compared to what they would normally be. So a unit of 20 guys on their objective becomes 10. That will also apply to things like Mega Gargants that count as, what, 30 models? You use this spell on them, they count as 15, making it a lot more manageable to take it over. So I think this is going to be quite an interesting spell that gets a lot of use, and potentially one that you want to try and unbind, because that is pretty brutal for some armies. Finally, we get a new Realm Command as well, and this is a strange one. Basically, you pick a Galician Veteran unit that has 10 or more models, you pick an enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 4 or less, you roll a dice. If you roll over the number of models in the unit, they get the strike's last effect. So really, this is only going to really work on small units of cavalry and the like. It's a pretty odd one, really. In this book, we also get 2 brand new core battalions, and both of these are going to be massive, and it's really going to change the way that people build their armies. The first one, the Expert Conquerors, it's got a requirement of 2 troops and an optional 3rd troops choice. Has to be given to Galician veterans, and each of those models counts as 3 for the purposes of controlling objectives. So that's massive. So what, a unit of 20 zombies counts as 60 zombies. You scale that up with the number of zombies you can take, and that is an awful lot of bodies to chew through, which is, yeah, really, really big. It means that you can start contesting against Mega Gargants and stuff before you even factor in the new spell, so that's really interesting. But there is a hard counter to that in the Bounty Hunters. Again, needs 2 troops, optional 3rd one, and those units, if they're targeting Galician veterans, add 1 to the damage characteristic of weapons for that attack. So yeah, we're going to have situations where people have got their kind of battle line under 4 wound troops choices, counting as 3 models, but then people also bringing some units with lots of attacks that are very good at killing those squishy battle line units, put them in the Bounty Hunter battalion, and they will just go through them like a knife. It'd be really quite interesting to see how it works. Originally, I thought that this only applied to these Expert Conquerors units, but no, it is all Galician veterans, which, let's not forget, you just get that for being a battle line unit with less than 4 wounds. So that is going to be a very, very powerful battalion that you can take. So really interesting seeing how those 2 play on. And as we get to the battle plans, we see that yeah, there's a lot of stuff that revolves around these Galician veteran units. So it's interesting to see how it plays out. So grand strategies, obviously these replace all the ones that were in the initial General's Handbook for 3rd edition. We've got no place for the weak. When the battle ends, you complete the grand strategy if there's no battle line units from your opponent's starting army on the battlefield. So you're going to kill all the battle line units. Tame the land. When the battle ends, you complete the grand strategy if you control all of the objectives on the battlefield that are wholly outside your territory. 3rd one, defend what's ours. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there's no enemy units wholly within your territory. Take what's theirs. When the battle ends, you complete the grand strategy if there are more friendly units than enemy units wholly within your opponent's territory. Demonstration of strength. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are 3 or more Galician veteran units from your starting army on the battlefield. Again, that's playing against no place for the weak though, so you're going to have some counters in some armies. And then show of dominance. When the battle ends, you complete the grand strategy if there are any friendly Galician units in each quarter of the battlefield. I feel that's going to be a hard one to get, but some armies might be able to do it. Sylvan teleporting around and stuff like that could be a good option for them. You'll notice that a lot of the kind of easy go-to ones, like, you know, a monster survives or a wizard survives, are gone now. So these are going to be tougher to get, and there's going to be a lot of thought into how you build your list on which of these that you go for. As for the battle tactics, we'll look on the cards because it's a little easier to see for the camera. So we've got gaining momentum. Pick an enemy unit on the battlefield. You complete the battle tactic if that unit is destroyed during this turn, and you can control more objectives than your opponent at the end of the turn. An eye for an eye. You complete the battle tactic if 1 or more friendly units were destroyed in the previous turn, and 1 or more enemy units are destroyed this turn. So you lose a unit last turn and you kill one of their units this turn. Desecrate their lands. Pick 1 terrain feature or faction terrain feature that is partially or wholly within your opponent's territory. You complete this battle tactic if you control that terrain feature at the end of the turn. This one's mine. Pick 1 enemy unit on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if that unit was destroyed during this turn by an attack made by the model picked to be your general. Head to head. Pick 1 enemy Galician veterans unit on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if that unit is destroyed during this turn by an attack made by a friendly Galician veteran unit or an ability of a friendly Galician veteran unit. Outmuscle. Pick one enemy Galician veteran unit that has any models contesting an objective marked as a proving ground. You complete this battle tactic if no models from that enemy unit are contesting the proving ground at the end of this turn. So obviously if you've got, you know, Varangard, let's say, they're not going to be a Galician veteran unit and they can't take the proving ground, you could pick that turn to maybe have that outmuscle one so you are still scoring something from taking it. Against the odds, pick one unit from your starting army on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if at the end of the turn any models from that unit are contesting the objective you control and that objective is not being contested by enemy Galician veteran models. And then barge through enemy lines. You complete this battle tactic if there are 2 or more units from your starting army wholly within your opponent's territory at the end of the turn. If 2 or more of these are Galician veterans, score 1 additional victory point. So as you can see, there's very much a risk-reward element for taking these Galician veteran units. You have got potential of losing those units and giving away victory points, especially when we've got things like the Bounty Hunter battalion. However, a lot of those grand strategies and battle tactics also require the use of the Galician veterans. Obviously once per turn you've got a objective on the battlefield that is potentially only scoreable by Galician veterans as well, so you are going to have a mix of them, and it's going to be interesting to see how some of the lists kind of play out with that in mind. So I think that's a pretty cool change. I know a lot of people are a bit scared of change and changing the lists, and the massive advantage of this kind of 6-monthly grand tournament format is that Games Workshop can quite easily change the way that you score objectives, change the units that are useful, and it kind of rewards players that have got a collection of models. Stuff that you don't usually kind of use often will get drawn out again, and oh yeah, that unit's really cool now, which is cool. That's how the game should be played. And obviously on the kind of like extreme side, people will buy and tailor armies specifically to try and get this, and I'm sure there will be a lot of maths going on by people who are, you know, much more into the competitive scene than me on the optimal, you know, array of units to take. But this does mean that, you know, we're going to have different types of games. Mega Gargants already, a bit of a double-edged sword. Obviously they had the advantage of being able to take a lot of battle tactics very easily in the previous season, when now with the kind of battle line requirement for the Galician veterans, none of your units can ever be a Galician veteran because you've got too many wounds. So that means that every turn that there's an objective that you can't take potentially. However, your units are also going to be very good at destroying units of battle line. You're able to use the spell to reduce how many they count as, even if they've got the counts as 3 models one. So there'll be a lot of back and forth, you know, regardless what army you are, and I think that's quite exciting. As for the missions, we see stuff that kind of rewards Galician veterans and all that kind of stuff as well. We get some fun new ones. The Realmstone Cache is a fun one. During the battle, this explodes and splits into kind of 2 different directions. So yeah, in contrast to the chapter approved mission pack that's also up for pre-orders today, where the missions were pretty much identical to last season's, we get lots of fun new stuff in here. There's mechanics where, you know, units are fighting underground, so that comes into effect. There's, you know, a few different kind of deployment maps, and is this the one? I think it is. There's one mission that's similar to the old burn objectives mission, but if you burn the objective, there's a chance that you take a load of mortal wounds. It's this one here, the Silk Steel Nests, where if you burn the objective, brilliant, you've removed it from the battlefield, but a load of spiders come out and deal mortal wounds to you. So again, that's pretty fun. So yeah, this, like, some really aggressive ones like this with just 2 objectives and you deploy quite close to each other. So yeah, some really fun here. I think it is going to mix up the armies that are used, and yeah, it is going to make a couple of differences. So also in this new General's Handbook, we see some of the endless spells updated, and there's some pretty cool stuff here. Not every endless spell has changed, however the ones that have are a pretty big deal. So the Chronomatic Cogs, now if you increase the flow of time, you can re-roll charges rather than, I think it was add one to them in the past. And if you slow down time, you can re-roll spells. It doesn't give you an additional spell anymore, so that's a bit of a difference to how they were. The prismatic palisades are a really interesting one now. Units within 6 inches cannot make shooting attacks, and every turn you add 3 to that range. That is so good against those shooty armies like Lumineth, Caradron Overlords, Bow Sisters, all that kind of stuff. If you can maybe throw one of these through a portal or manage to dump it nearby kind of their territory, you've got a slowly increasing bubble where they can't even shoot in. So I really quite like the palisade now. The Purple Son of Shaish is also changed quite a bit now. So it's got a 6-inch aura where you subtract 1 from saves, and then any models within 3 inches after it's moved, you roll the dice for them. On a 1 they're slain, so that's pretty cool. Quicksilver Swords is interesting. It now goes off on a 5+ rather than a 6+, so it does a bit more damage. Ravernak's Gnashing Jaws, I believe, has changed now as well. So after the end of the spell is moved, pick one unit that has any models it passed across or is in an inch of it. On a 2+, the roll for the move was greater than the unit's move characteristic. The unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference between that unit's move characteristic and the roll for the endless spell. So that's different. Don't think anything else has changed with them, but there's some pretty cool things added there with endless spells that will change maybe some of the picks that people take in future. And then, as ever, the rest of the book goes through the core rules of Age of Sigmar as well. So that's still kind of contained within the book, making this, you know, a handy thing to have in your bag for tournaments anyway, as it's got all your missions in and all your rules content. So I will say as well, this book actually comes with a code to redeem it on the My Warhammer site. It looks like they're doing that with all of the kind of like Grand Tournament packs now, so that's interesting. So I assume all of this stuff you'll be able to get from within the app as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so that was a look at the new General's Handbook. Yeah, some interesting changes for the game, and I think it's going to really change the way that people build their armies, the way that you can interact with each other. So I am all up for every 6 months the meta being shaken by the way you play the game change. Obviously remember, all this stuff is specific to this battle pack, so if you're playing narrative games, you don't necessarily have to use this pack. I mean, the good thing about Age of Sigmar is that it's very modular. You can use lots of different bits from battle packs if you're doing your own friendly games, and there's nothing to stop you playing friendly games using the previous season's battle pack as well. You know, that means you've got a slowly expanding pool of missions that you can do for your games. So yeah, that was a quick look at the General's Handbook. We've got an awful lot of reviews up to date. We've got Sylvaneth and Skaven. We have got the Grand Tournament pack for 40k. We've got all the Necromunda stuff, so the Squats, the Ash Wastes, Stormcaller, and the Book of the Outlands as well, all up for with videos and articles over on spruesandbrews.com as well. So if you've enjoyed this video, why not give the video a like and give us a follow. We've got loads of kind of reviews and unboxings and stuff on the website. Very soon we'll be starting to do some more video kind of battle reports and live streams and stuff soon. So as soon as I'm in the new studio, we'll be good to go with that. But yeah, until next time, hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.